Okay, so on to the topic of basically genders and the different sexes out there. A lot of people, especially here on YouTube, like to bitch and moan and say, oh, Tumblr and its 74 genders, nah, thing. At least I think that's what people usually tend to say. I mean, the only place I ever hear about 74 fucking genders is YouTube. And I think it gets brought up on Reddit, but I've never fucking heard it on Tumblr, and I'm on Tumblr a fucking lot. So, that out of the way. Basically, this is going to be on genders and sexes. Not sexualities, just sexes. First off, sex and gender is not the same thing. Your gender doesn't equal your sex, and your sex doesn't necessarily equal your gender. Usually they match, not always. In simple terms, your gender is mental. It is up here. Whereas your sex is in your pants. Sex is basically whatever you got going on down there, or it's also known as assigned at birth sex. Basically, it's what was in your pants when you were born, pretty much. And gender is up here. It's basically what your mind is. And gender is more important than sex. Gender trumps sex all the time. Basically, someone's gender is what they are. Regardless of what's in their pants, it doesn't fucking matter what's in their pants, the gender is the one that is correct. Always. And it doesn't always match what's in your pants. So, if someone say, a guy, even if they have a vagina in their pants, they're still a dude. Regardless, and vice versa, etc., etc., etc. And so that's kind of the simple thing there. This stuff is talked about in psychology, especially gender. It's kind of a hot topic right now in psychology, because welcome to the world we live in right now. People still haven't gotten that gender is mental. Now, on to the whole 74 genders thing. First off, I don't know where the fuck this actually came from originally. I don't know who the fuck said there's 74 genders, because there's pretty much not. I mean, you might be able to say there's 74 sexualities, maybe? Because people like to create new things for things that already have names. And I think that what may have happened with the whole 74 genders thing is someone might have just made a name for something that already existed, and now there's just 2 fucking names for the same damn thing. That might be very well what happened. And there are some genders that are very specific to cultures, like things like two-spirited, third gender. It's very specific to a specific culture and everything, so it's not really something that exists outside of that culture. That is a different thing. It's a gender, but it's a little bit different. It's related to culture and that society and whatnot, so a little bit different. That shit, respect it, you're an asshole if you don't. It's a cultural thing. I understand people not getting that one just purely because, well, we don't live in that culture, you probably don't live in that culture, so it makes sense that you don't understand what it's all about. But there are more than 2 genders. There's also more than 2 sexes. Anyone who tries to say that there's only 2 sexes, there's only 2 genders is an idiot. Complete fucking idiot. With genders, there is many, many genders. There's not 74, or 75, 76, whatever. There's not. There's a lot, though. Obviously, you have things like cisgendered, transgendered, you know, female, male, and those little groupings. You got things like bigendered, agendered, gender fluid, and I think demigender is another one, etc. You've got all these different genders that are just kind of out there, and some of them, I guess, could be quite confusing, but you'd think ones like male, female, cisgender, trans, agendered would be fucking obvious. Apparently it's not, but you'd think it would be fucking obvious. And I guess there's also, non-binary is a questionable one, because non-binary, some people will just say that it's just agendered, another word for agendered, which a lot of the times that's usually what it is. But a lot of people will just use non-binary as I look non-binary, like looking agendered, like you don't have a gender. Which is basically what agendered is. It's basically being genderless. But gender identity, there's really no way to say it's invalid, because it is a mental thing. Gender can appear in so many fucking ways that you can't really just say, oh, your gender's invalid because you got a penis. No. Your body doesn't dictate your gender. Now, of course, usually, most people's genders match what's in their pants. Most people. Not everyone. This can get a little bit more complicated when you go into intersex people, which is basically the third kind of sex. So basically, you know, male shit, female shit, intersex shit. Intersex, often, people who are born intersex, basically the doctor will go, this looks more like a penis, so I'm gonna make it a penis, or this looks more like it should be a vagina, so I'll make it a vagina, or something along the lines like, oh, the vagina's more prominent than the dick, so we're gonna make it a vagina. And the doctor will often just decide to make the kid female, or decide to make the kid male. This can be a problem, obviously, because it could turn out that this kid's gender is actually female, but she gave him a dick, and just decided to make him a boy. Obviously, in the regards to intersex, I say just fucking leave them alone down there and let them figure out what the fuck their gender is so that they can make their parts match. But intersex is not that common. And generally people who are intersexed, either A, they don't know because their parents just say, go ahead, doc, do what you want. And they got lucky and their gender matched. Or they do know because their parents left them alone or their parents told them, etc., etc., etc. But intersexed is not common. It's not something that every fucking person has. So, don't go running around screaming, I'm intersexed, unless you're intersexed. You're a dick if you're claiming to be intersexed when you're not fucking intersexed. And being intersexed is something that you can factually know, because, well, it can be physically obvious. But with gender, again, you can't just say, oh, your fucking gender isn't valid because I say so. Because the fact of the matter is you don't know that person's gender. There's no way for you to, because it is purely fucking mental. Now, the people that try to run around and say, there's only 2 genders. Well, first off, take a fucking psychology course, you're wrong. 2, what the hell made you think that? You're wrong. And just basically you're an asshole and you're also wrong. Gender is a complex thing, and honestly, I'd recommend basically everyone taking a quick course on it. It's a hell of a lot easier than watching random people's YouTube videos. Especially from random dilly-da-hoo-da-day who plays video games all day and doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about and just decides he doesn't like agendered people because they're different from me. Because that's what I think a lot of it is it's just, oh, they're different from what I'm used to, so they're wrong. That's why I think a lot of the hate on people who are not cisgendered is just, they're different from me, so they must be evil. Which is something that humanity has a big problem with doing, automatically deciding that anything that isn't like you is different and wrong and evil. Which is just like, no, fuck you. Obviously society is working towards getting a lot more accepting of this sort of shit, but I think the whole, like, the rise of this sort of 74 genders, there's only 2 genders, only 2 sexes, crap. I think that has risen up a lot more lately, especially in the Western world. Partly because a lot of things in the Western world, a lot of people in the Western world, like, don't think they have enough shit in their own life to complain about, or think the problems in their current society are either pointless, stupid, or there's not really any real problems, because, I mean, other places in the world have it worse. Which, while this is factually true, yes, other places in the world do have it worse, this isn't the Pain Olympics. Everybody's fucking suffering and discrimination matters, and you should seek to end all sorts of discrimination all over the world, regardless of whether one place has it worse than another. Fuck you, basically. And it is a lot of just people who have nothing better in their day than to bitch and complain about other people's gender identities, even though it has no effect on you at all. So, yeah, there's basically, I think it's people being assholes. Or just very uneducated small children who think they have the right to say whatever the fuck they want and not get shit on for saying things that are factually incorrect. And I guess this also kind of, it goes into fucking free speech, I guess. Like, you are more than welcome to say that there's only 2 genders. It doesn't mean you're right, and it doesn't mean that people can't call you out on being wrong. You're welcome to say that, but you're gonna get called out for being wrong. And you shouldn't get pissed off, oh, you're limiting my free speech because you're telling me I'm wrong. Like, bitch, they're exercising their free speech by telling you you're wrong. If you want free speech, then you have to also accept other people's free speech. And other people's free speech says they can tell you you're fucking wrong. And obviously, this is YouTube. I don't expect everyone in the fucking comment section to be educated on what they're talking about. And this isn't a fucking university essay. People aren't going to be linking like 20,000 studies to their fucking 3-sentence comment. No one does that. This is YouTube. Okay, people on Tumblr do that. There's so many fucking sources on Tumblr. But people don't do that on YouTube because it's just a fucking comment section. Which is part of the reason why I say don't take people all that seriously. I'm just kind of bitching and moaning a little bit here. But yeah, there is more than just 2 fucking genders, and there's more than just 2 fucking sexes. Anyone who says otherwise is just factually and medically, psychologically, everything incorrect. And I guess from one person I did hear the whole, well, I exclude intersex from the different kinds of sexes because it's a genetic fuck up. It's like, bitch, that doesn't fucking matter. Intersex is still a real existent thing. Regardless of how it's caused, it's still a real thing. It's still a sex. You can't exclude it just because of how it happened. What the fuck, bitch? Yeah. Guess that's all